Indy. One word says it all. And for the second time, this legendary venue hosts one of motorsport's most prestigious events, the SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. Together, it's a can't-miss bucket list pairing, and almost 900 entries have arrived, all pursuing two things: a chance to kiss the bricks and a gold medal that says champion. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Haggerty Race Day here at the 58th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs, a broadcast today presented by Mazda. Great to have you with us. I'm Greg Creamer, Larry McLeod alongside, and we're going to have Hayward Wagner down on the grid and in the pit lane. As you can see, it is a cloudy, semi-dreary day, but hey, we got the runoffs. We're racing at Indy. There's nothing dreary about that. It's downright exciting. One of the things is it's not a matter of if, it's when we're going to get rain today. And secondly, this is GT3 coming up. A great class, great speed, great competition. Reliability is the key here.
Yeah, keeping your nose clean, keeping your car clean, and surviving this race is going to be critical to this field. We've had issues in the past year. All these drivers are talking about just trying to stay clean, stay on track. Yeah,
these are highly stressed, full-out racing machines, and so that is an absolutely key component. Another one is getting around this challenging track well, and with that, let's take a look at our Mazda track map, and it's 2.6 miles in length, 14 turns, and it's technical, but it's also high speed.
Yeah, it's got a lot of technical to it. As you come down that front straightaway, they'll be hauling down there probably in excess of 130, 40 miles an hour. They're going to go into turn one, probably 3 wide, but knowing these guys are going to get that taken under control, down through 1-2 combination, kind of pivot around turn 4 and run back toward that carousel turn 6. Very critical to get an exit there. It sets you up for 6A and down that Hallman straight, back straight. That's going to lead into another opportunity for passing through turn 7 and then into the S's. Very much a single line through 8, 9, and coming out of 10. Those motors be screaming as they come up back onto the banking down towards turn 12. Really critical and very technical turn in a braking point there at 12. You want to come out of 12 just right to then set up 13 because that's where the blast off takes off right there down 14 down that front straightaway again.
Yeah, it's a launch, isn't it? And that's what leads you into the best passing zone in one. And you know what? Mazda does an awful lot more than present the track map here at the runoffs. They also support their drivers with face-to-face and virtual coaching at events throughout the year. And that's one reason that no other brand in North America does as much to get racers off sidelines and behind the wheel as does Mazda. There's plenty of them in this field. You can see the cars down there. We are getting ready to go. And with that, let's get it down to Hayward Wagner. Good morning, sir.
Guys, one of the Mazdas on grid this morning is Mike Lewis right here behind me. This car ran in GT Light and is running in GT3. That requires an engine change for the car to be between those two race groups. That might not sound like that big a deal on the surface. It's a race car. It's pretty easy to pull motors in and out of race cars. They've done it 7 times this week. It takes about 2.5 hours every time they do it. That's a really big job for this crew. Motor in, motor out, and every time they do that, there's an opportunity for a line not to get hooked up properly. Mistakes to be made. Their accuracy, very important in the reliability of that car. Speaking of effort, another driver on this grid who's put a ton of effort in this week is Troy Ermish. If you look at the roof of this car was on its lid during the test day. It went all the way over, and it did significant damage to the cage. Now, if you look right here, you'll see that Troy's cage is painted red all the way to right here. This is brand new metal. He went and found an IndyCar team here in Indianapolis, had them pull all the body work, replace this part of the structure that was damaged, bring it back to the track, run it back through SCCA Tech, and qualify it on the pole. So both of the cars on the front row, these crews and teams have been incredibly busy getting these cars ready for race day.
And that's a fantastic story for both of them, and it really points out something that I've said for years: the unsung heroes of this sport, whether pro or club,
it's those crews.
Are the crews.
Oh, yeah.
The hours they put in, the work they put in, and that particularly the story of those two, but taking that cage, figuring out what they need to do, getting it done. Anybody who says that SCCA club racers aren't as passionate and committed to the sport as pro guys or anything have no clue. They are all about getting this done. They live for this.
Yeah, the crew is definitely due because their heart and soul is in these cars. They are in that seat with that driver for that entire race. And I can tell you, Troy Ermish's crew, as Hayward pointed out, they worked double and triple time to get that car going because he was ready for Tuesday morning qualifying, and he went out and led qualifying every one of the 3 days to put that car on pole, and that's an amazing feat and giving Troy Ermish a really good shot in this race.
Yeah, and the field in terms of numbers is light, but in terms of talent and driving depth, it is really, really deep, and that's going to be, make, I think, for a very good race. A couple of stories to watch for. Taz Harvey, he's driving the number 62. He currently leads the Mazda GT3 Challenge points, which is essentially, I believe, the Hoosier Super Tour points for the class. If he wins today, he'll get the Super Sweep. That is really, really difficult to do. And Michael Lewis may not be a surprise here, knowing that they're doing engine swaps and the like. There's a very important award that we recognize during the week leading up to the actual Runoffs Championship race, and it's the Hawk Breakthrough Performer Award, courtesy of Hawk Performance, the official brake partner of SCCA. It's most positions gained from Tuesday to Wednesday, and Michael Lewis didn't get any time on Tuesday because they were dealing with swaps and the like. He gained a full 13 positions from Tuesday to Wednesday, which says an awful lot about what's unfolding there. So a couple of good stories building there as well. But I got to tell you, the guy that we have seen, Troy Ermish, he has been showing some remarkable speed. Won gold at Sonoma in the GT Light category. This is his second pole, but he has just been a rocket ship here so far.
And he was strong last year until the car started to fade a bunch there, giving Mike Lewis ultimately the win there. And you know that Ermish, every time he comes out, the car is always fast. But as we opened with, reliability, it needs to be a part of this race. These cars are very high strung. They're very delicate. Talking to drivers, a lot of them, they know they have to be respectful of each other. This is not going to be a British touring car race with door banging going on.
Yep.
These guys will be a lot more respectful of that. And the other thing you got going here is, although the pavement's got mostly dry, it's not cold this morning. It's over 70. It's humid, and that track temp is cold. And for these guys, yes, they've qualified in each of the mornings this week, around this same time of day. They usually had a little bit of sunshine on the track. Things are a little bit different here this morning for them, and they've got to adapt.
Absolutely. Let's take you through the starting lineup. As we said, Troy Ermish on the pole, his second Runoffs pole out of San Francisco region in the Rebello Racing Nissan. Michael Lewis alongside. 38 start, 21 medals, 10 of them gold. There's some history for you. And the defending champ in the Goodyear RX-7. Starting in the third spot, the number 62 of Taz Harvey, as I said, leading the Mazda GT3 Challenge points out of San Francisco region in the Dublin Mazda Hoosier Mazda. He did a lot of racing in Pro Series and World Challenge in the past. In the fourth spot, the father of a father-son duo in the field, the number 47 of Stacy Wilson. He has a gold medal as well, making his 12th start in the Wilson Racing Hoosier Mazda. Starting in the fifth spot, the number 79, Paul Young. He is making his 25th start. He runs in the Detroit region in the Young Engineering Ford Probe. He was second in 2016 in Mid-Ohio. Starting in the sixth spot, the son, number 33, Blake Wilson. This is his rookie go here, first time in the Wilson Racing Hoosier Mazda. Starting in the seventh spot, a lot of experience behind the wheel of this car, the number 12 of Luis Rivera, running out of Houston region, his 23rd start, and he's in the RPM Motorsports Hoosier Mazda. Starting in the eighth spot, it is the number 69 of Bill McGavick out of Acadia, Florida. He's in his seventh runoff in the Appalachian Race Tire Mazda. Starting in the ninth spot, the number 122 of John Mills. He runs in the Ohio Valley region, his 14th runoff start in a Mazda. Starting in the 10th spot, the 77 of Joe Carr out of Petaluma, California, for San Francisco region in a Mazda. Starting in the 11th spot, number 15, Wolfgang Maki out of Santa Barbara, California, his 30th start in his Toyota DP Racing Toyota Paseo. In the 12th spot, the number 7 of Brian Floyd, running out of Cincinnati region, his 8th start in a Mazda. And then the final row, starting in the 13th spot, 91 Kent Nelson in the Nissan out of the Detroit region. Also out of Detroit region, starting 14th, 46, Dave Dobry in his 16th start in the Dryer Vent Wizard machine. And we are coming up to the start stand, getting ready to go racing here on this final day of Runoffs competition. The run for the gold in GT3 starts now. We are green, and a good move by Lewis, timed it well. Ermish gonna get a little bit smoked here. Coming up behind Lewis, obviously, is Stacy Wilson. Boy, Ermish really struggling to get going here. I'm not sure he won't even be fourth by the time they get out of turn one. All depends on what the number 33 of Blake Wilson does here. And not able to get through.
Father of the Wilson Racing team there, just got in front of our pole sitter as well. Great start for those rotaries. Not so much for the piston engine Troy's got in his Nissan. But I suspect maybe either he might have been in the wrong gear or it just doesn't have that power band. Maybe the rotaries are right where they wanted to be.
Well, look at him slicing through now that he's up on the pipe. You bet. Oh, we have somebody out. That's the 122 of John Mills.
He's still
unfortunate.
He's going to turn himself around. the Indianapolis Motor Speedway emergency vehicles on site so quickly to make sure things are out, but it turns out he didn't need them.
Yeah, he got it going here. So here we go. It's Lewis and Ermish, 1-2, with Stacy Wilson in third.
The flames coming out of these rotary engines, I absolutely love it. They're going to try the track this morning. There's where your track temperature's going to come in. That's why we're running rotaries in the first group.
Whatever side of a rotary's exhaust pipe is on, the following cars need to run on that side. Get those tires. Boy, Ermish is just absolutely flying. He's probably really upset about that start and funneling that red mist. Here's that really tricky turn number 12. You climb the banking. When you turn in, you come down the banking. It actually goes off camber, which means negative banking, and it's easy to lock up brakes and overshoot. These two veterans, though, having no problem with it.
Yeah, they had this same kind of battle a year ago at Road America, and they're picking up right where they left off. Troy Ermish, though, I think you said it, he's a little bit peeved about that opening start and letting a couple of guys get by him. He's been able to pick that one spot back up, and now he wants the other one. Look at the rotary in a straight line.
Rotary definitely has a bit of grunt, no problem with there. And look at the margin, the top two have opened up. Now Ermish takes a peek, but it's clear that Ermish is the quicker of the cars in the infield in the technical sections right now.
Yeah, for
Look
sure.
at that. I mean, just rolling big speed.
Yeah, that 10-time gold medaler, Lewis, he's going to use a very wide line everywhere he goes. You watch him down the insides on turn-in, going to try and blind, not blocking, but certainly going to use the advantage of the positioning to hold Troy out behind him.
Yeah, blocking is frowned upon, but there's nothing that says you can't defend. And look at this. It's going to be a matter of trying to roll speed around the outside. Ermish, I think, just floated a little bit too wide. He's got something coming out of the right rear of the car. It might just be fuel overflow.
I think it might be, yeah, just kind of a topped off the fuel tank a little bit. You see it a lot of times on these opening laps.
So right there, you see he's all over Lewis. Then they get out of 6A. Lewis puts the power down and immediately gets up about 2-3 car lengths. As soon as we get into the braking zone and the twisty bits, Ermish just comes right back at him. So this is going to be one of those other scenarios where you got two guys that are running similar lap times, but how they get there, it's really different.
Yeah, and for Lewis, we've seen him in other races where he tends to come on strong towards the end of the race. Did that in his GT Light race, and we're going to be seeing him do that here. But look, he's given up a little bit of position to Troy on the inside. Can Troy take advantage?
Oh, Lewis knew Troy was there. That's really savvy racecraft and track awareness. He knew it was there, but he knew that wider line was going to give him better drive out of 12. And so he just left that door open just a little bit. And here we go. There you can see Ermish rolling up on the back of him, but watch right now, as soon as they start grabbing the next gears. Now Ermish is really close. He's in the draft. We'll have to see. It doesn't look like Lewis now, because of that draft, is going to pull him as much. And Ermish now going to make the move down to the inside. But how do you outbreak a 10-time gold medalist? Well, you try it like that, but Lewis stays right around the outside. But now Ermish with the handling. Oh, but little sideways moment there, Larry.
Yeah, he did just a little bit. But as you said earlier, he may have a better handling car for the infield stuff. And I think he just showed it right there, able to keep it under control. Now, how much of a gap can he build before we get to this back straight on Lewis?
Yeah, that's going to be the key here, because of Lewis's pace on the straights. You take a look at the qualifying times. Ermish turned to 144.7, Lewis at 145.3. So on paper, Ermish has a fair amount of time in hand. Neither of them getting below the previous track record, but Ermish was close.
He was definitely close. He did his fastest lap on Tuesday. That was Michael Lewis's first day of qualifying. As he wasn't here. On Wednesday, as Lewis wasn't here on Tuesday. Lewis did his faster time on Wednesday, where I think they were in mixed qualifying. Is able to find some clear spots. So about that indication of speed, I don't know that we've seen either one of them's full potential yet.
I would agree with that. And they're already wanting. Ermish has turned to 147.2 in race trim here. It's a cool morning. It's fairly humid. And engines love that. Lots of oxygen packed in together in those molecules.
Yes, they do. They like that. They like to have a warmer track for the tires, but right now the engines are a little bit on the superior side. As we get a good shot there of Taz Harvey with the elder of the Wilson, Stacy Wilson, trailing in behind him.
Yeah, Taz able to sneak through, pick up that third spot. Wilson held it for a little bit. Bill McGavick right now sits in the 5th spot. And Taz as well, driving one of those RX-7s, as is Stacy here. And nice to have Taz really spending a lot of time in club racing these days. He's a character for starters, one of the funniest people I've ever met. And also a pretty darn good wheelman. Look at this battle behind. That's McGavick. That's Blake Wilson showing the nose, getting the drive down the inside of Bill McGavick. And He goes through, skates wide. What a save.
Yeah, great save there
man.
for Blake, able to keep that under control and keep the elder McGavick behind him. So I talked to the Wilsons here this morning. That number 33 there actually is Stacy Wilson's first GT3 car. And he actually, I believe he said he put it on the podium back in the early 90s. The runoff sold the car, worked on his second car. The car somehow came back into his hands, and this year for Blake is his first runoffs in his dad's old car.
What a great story. And this paddock is full of those kind of things. That's one of the things that makes SCCA club racing, and certainly the runoff, so compelling. The passion that everybody has. Oh, and another big slide by Blake. He is giving it a bit of welly right now. If you've ever wondered what that phrase means, if you've heard it, it's the boot company, Wellington Boots, and the Brits say, you know, put your boot in it. So it just came down. Suddenly they developed to give it a bit of welly.
Yep.
I love it.
He's definitely doing that right now. He's throwing that thing around, trying to build a little more heat in those tires.
Those burps and flame, you often see smoke because of it, and you think, oh, they got a problem, and it's not. It's just the overrun in those rotaries, but boy, do they make power. Look at that. It's just incredible.
As Dad's up here still trying to take the fight up to Taz Harvey.
Taz has opened it up just a little bit over Stacy. Stacy just set his best lap so far in the race. But Troy Ermish out front continues to lead, but now you can see Taz has opened that margin up just a little bit here.
Yeah, Taz is quickly becoming one of the most experienced guys in the runoffs. It's only, I think, about his, well, coming into the week, he had 9 prior starts, but I believe he's running 3 different classes here again, as he's been doing the last couple of years. So he's getting a lot of runoffs experience to go with outside of the runoffs type of experience. It seems to be that he definitely loves his platform. He was running a similar car over in GTL as well. And here having a great fight in this RX-7 third-gen body on top of that car, whereas Wilson's got the second-gen body. But underneath, they're still 2 frames of the same, similar rotaries, just they run different silhouettes.
Stacy looks, he's got one of those scenarios too. We've seen him a couple of times. Sort of what we're seeing in the Ermish v. Lewis thing is Stacy seems to have a car that's really hooked up in the infield, and Taz, his RX-7 seems to get the power down pretty well, but then you get close enough, you're in the draft. Is Stacy going to do it? He looks to the inside, and it's early in the race. See that little wiggle from Taz, but that was Taz. I think that's his pro racing savvy right there going, it's too early to be fighting.
And for Wilson, had that good opportunity and took it. Knowing going into the S's, it's a single line anyways. If you get a nose ahead, you're at least going to get it here. But Taz, if he does have more power, is going to be able to bring it back to him pretty quick here between either this turn going through turn 11 or perhaps when they get back out onto the front straight.
But you can see just there, as Taz had to sort of check up and let Wilson go through into 7, even though it's twisty through 8, 9, and 10, that little bit of momentum loss, obviously you can see Wilson builds it up. These are GT3 cars. They're highly stressed. They make pretty good power. But still, if you lose momentum relative to the guy you're racing, power or not, you're still going to drag a little bit, and that's what's hurt Taz here.
In the world of GT races, these are by far the momentum. You think about GT1, GT2, those guys are all about the torque off the corner, point and shoot. You're in GT3. These essentially are kind of the small bore of the GT big bore classes.
Look there at Paul Young, running the lone Ford Probe. He's been running that car for quite some time. In fact, this, as I said, is 25th start. And he's looking in his mirrors right now, and he sees an awful lot of orange as Luis Rivera right behind him in his RX-7. This is the battle for the 7th spot. So we've got these things in groups, don't we? Great battle for first, great for third, great for 5th, great for 7th.
Yeah, so the Ford Probe here, he actually put that thing on the podium a year ago at Road America. So there's potential in that car. And then right behind him, I believe that it should be Luis Rivera, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
This is his first year in GT3, coming out of a lot of other, non-GT type of cars. He said a lot of synchro gearbox cars, and this time finally getting into the race gearbox. He said it's a bit of a transition, and he's out here just, he said, I just want to go out there and listen to the car and do what the car says. If opportunity presents itself, maybe take it. But other than that, just have a good time with some good, respectful racing that you expect here in GT3.
Absolutely, and this is his 23rd start, so I mean, he's certainly got lots of runoffs experience, just as you said, in a different class. But he was 5th in the GT Light category last year.
That was Stacy Wilson.
Sure was.
We'll get back to that in a second here, but these guys came up on him right there in the S's.
So Something amiss, it appears, with Stacy.
That's what you worry about with these cars, with the attrition rate of these high-strung race cars.
There's the number 33 of Blake.
Oh, that looks more like smoke coming out. You
does.
expect a little bit out of these rotaries, but maybe not quite that much.
Yeah, that's body rub down on that right rear tire, or something down in the mechanicals on that right side.
Good shot of Bill McGavick right there. I talked to him this morning. He has to leave tonight to go down, I think he said, to Greenville tonight and fly back to Texas, pick up a race car. He's a race car trailer truck driver, and he's got to take the race car from Texas to VIR for this weekend, do the VIR thing, and then take it back. And he says he works about 48 weeks a year doing that. He's a pretty busy man these days, and just happy to be able to take a couple of racing laps here around Indianapolis.
I'm trying to see what that's just general smoke. That's not body rub, I don't think. Because it's coming, you see it both sides, and it's in a straight line even. So it's got some issue there on the back side of that machine.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
These obviously, rotaries, they do burn a little bit of oil, so you definitely see some smoke from time to time, but that's a little more than normal.
That's excessive, absolutely.
For young Blake up in the 4th spot right now, running well, but he's just going to push it. It's the runoffs,
Absolutely. You just go after.
Yeah, if this is the last race before the runoffs, he might have pulled it in, but he's...
I think, something's wrong back there, because the car is he's really trying to fight it, hang on to it. I think something may have broken back there. He may be oiling his own tires or something along those lines. So we will be keeping an eye on that. But right now, we're going to step away for just a minute here and learn a little bit more about some of the fabulous partners of SCCA.
Why race? Because it's in our blood. A love of driving that pushes us as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why indeed?
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Haggerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Haggerty.com.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land. Where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.
Welcome back to Haggerty Race Days here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 58th running of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs. And there is your leader, Troy Ermish, as he has got jumped at the start, but about halfway around that first lap and moved his way into second. By the end of the first lap, took the lead going into one, and has opened that margin up a little bit. But there is another award that is a rather prestigious one. It's called the Sunoco Hard Charger Award, courtesy of the official fuel of the SCCA, Sunoco, and it's most position gained during the race. And it isn't decided until timing and scoring does their final audit. But I would say right now, Larry, that Bill McGavick is probably one of the real contenders for that in that 69 Mazda.
Yeah, he's running up there in the top 5. And looking pretty strong right now. But again, like you say, we'll be decided later, but we'll keep our eyes on Bill for that.
Boy, Ermish has just driven a flawless race. Has now built that margin up to almost 5 seconds. So he is going here. As I said, won the gold in GT Light in 2018 at Sonoma, but I think he would really relish adding another one here in GT3. There's Lewis. That's your margin, first to second. And don't count Lewis out. As you said, the guy is a master of tire preservation, keeping the car together, and generally that latter third of the race is when we see Michael getting quicker than everybody else.
We've seen him do that. Yeah, he did that in the GT Light race. If you want to, that's going to be archived on SCCA.com. Go check that one out. It was a great race to watch how a veteran manages his car and get up into a podium position. And really kind of the same thing. Oh, well, we got the spin there on the 46 of Dave Dobry.
What a shame.
That's our Eagle Talon in this field. He's right square in the middle of track.
This is where it gets sketchy. That's Taz Harvey coming through.
That's right in the middle of turn 7.
Yeah, see what happened here. Oh, locked up. Couldn't quite save it. And that grass, after all the rain we had yesterday, is absolutely saturated. Boy, those slick tires hit it, and it just snaps. Good to see him going again.
Yeah, it's very good to see him going. I'm sure that Troy Ermish is very happy to see him going again, and not to give Michael Lewis a free couple of seconds to catch up. But here's a bit of a run now, as you've got McGavick right there with Stacy, Wilson, and Paul Young right there on him. Great to see Stacy Wilson go again, because we had seen flash at him earlier where his car maybe had a bit of an issue. Great to see him going again, right back in the mix.
He's a great scrap. This for the final spot in the top 5, and not that far back is Luis Rivera, too. There's some really experienced drivers here in this battle here. Yeah, we saw that little moment for Stacy, and then he just dropped down the order. I don't know what happened, but he certainly seems to be back at full song now.
Definitely doesn't need mention Luis Rivera just back there in that orange RX-7, not far behind this battle. He's got a good view of it. Again, experienced racer, getting his feet wet here in GT3. Perhaps might be a bit of a late race charger as well to keep an eye on. Look at Stacy getting on past Paul Young now.
Yep.
Now he's got his sight set on Bill McGavick up in front of him in a similar RX-7.
Stacy qualified 4th, obviously, so he showed pretty good speed. And everybody he's running against were a bit behind him, so Stacy's got the pace. The thing that's kind of got me baffled is Taz Harvey, who qualified in the 3rd spot at a really competitive 146.6, has been running in the 153s, 154s, while the 2 guys up front are in the 48. So something's got to be slightly amiss with Harvey's car.
Yeah, we know the last time by, of course, he had to stop for Dobry there across the track. It cost him a little bit, but yeah, the rest of his pace has also been down, and I wonder if he's kind of limping that car around. And if he is, keep your eye for Blake Wilson, who we know is also a bit of a limping his car around.
Yeah.
But Stacy Wilson is not. He is on the charge right now.
Yeah, he is booking right now. Beautiful move down into turn 7. Floats it a little bit wide, but had just enough pace that there was no way that McGavick was going to be able to counter. And that moves now Stacy Wilson up into the top 5 once again. And the question for him is, how far is he behind his son? And 2, if he gets to his son, how bad is he going to want to beat him?
Well, I did talk to him about that. I said, what happens if you and your son are about to cross start finish and he's on your tail? What are you going to do? And he said, it's the kid's going to have to earn it. That's what he had said.
Good man. Good man. Racing is a competition. And sure, I've always said it doesn't matter who it is, best friend, family member, whatever, when the visor snaps down, that's gone.
Yep.
That's gone. And we just had a shot there to 33 of Blake Wilson, and that car is smoking a lot more heavily. And we don't know what it is. Something definitely at the back of the car. It's possible he's got an axle seal that's going, and it's pumping axle grease out onto the rotor and stuff. So
at some point he'll stop smoking as he runs out of grease.
That's right. And then
it may have other problems.
And then it's hang-on time. Yeah.
Well, at some point here, Stacy Wilson's running a pretty good clip.
Yeah,
Blake's limping the car around. We might see Wilson on Wilson. You can see right there that white first-gen RX-7 body, and then there's Stacy not far behind.
It's about 4 seconds adrift, and Stacy's running.
He's picked up 2 seconds right here. And I think in about sector 1, he's going to pick up a couple of seconds when we get through it. You can see him getting closer, corner by corner.
And I'm very impressed with Blake, his first runoff. He's been dealing with a car that isn't happy, it seems. One, with the smoke, whatever that problem is, but also the car seems to be pretty twitchy and loose, which means the back end wants to slide and come around.
I tell you, this is a deep field to be up there in the mix, be sitting in 4th in a field with guys, with multiple medals like Lewis. Rob Warkaki's got a couple of wins. His father, Stacy Wilson, had a win. Troy Ermish has won. We talked about his win in GTL. And then you get guys who haven't won yet, but like Taz Harvey and a few of these. That's
Luis Rivera.
Unfortunately for him, it looks like he might be pulling that one in.
Yep. We talked about these cars are very high-strung, purebred, built for nothing but racing, and they don't have big motors in them, but the motors really make power, and that's because they're stressed.
Wow. Blake Wilson's car is kind of doing a James Bond smoke screen for his father right now.
It is, and if the smoke completely stopped when he was going in a straight line, you could think it was the body coming down under the tires, but it seems like when he's under hard acceleration or lean, I don't know.
It does make me think there's something in the rear of that car, a bit of a miss. And I'm sure his father right behind him probably knows what that is. And say, man, if I could just fix that right now during the race and make sure he finishes. But he's also, Stacy's not gonna stay behind him for long if he's got a faster race car.
Yeah, absolutely. Look there again, Paul Young, as he's trying to, he and McGavitt having a great scrap.
Both these guys,
6th spot.
These guys are just mainstays of this class every single year. You'll see these guys there. Paul Young, I think this is his 25th runoff start. And then for Bill, I want to say this might be his, it's only his 7th, but he's actually owned this car. He said back in the 90s he purchased this car, been running it a long time, so maybe he hasn't been to the runoffs more than about 6 or 7 times. But I'll tell you what, he's got a lot of years in this car. He was telling me he's gone through multiple logbooks over the years since he's purchased this thing.
Puts in a lot of racing. His best finish was a 5th in 2015 at Daytona, so he's sitting in 6th right now. He'd sure like to be able to get up and at least match that best finish.
Kind of watching the whole mix-up here. Obviously, Ermish is still laying down great laps. Michael Lewis doing about the same. Taz Harvey, we mentioned a moment ago, his lap times are slipping. He's not quite up there with the Ermish and Lewis pace. And I think Stacy Wilson, currently in 5th, might be the quickest car outside of the top 2 on the track right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And yeah, Harvey's been running 4 seconds off of the leader's pace. And Wilson's running, like you said, was at 150.7 on that last lap. So the question is the margin behind them. And does Stacy have enough to get after Taz and try and get into podium contention? But right now, he is closing inexorably on his son.
He is, and there you can see exactly how close he is. I don't know that, I don't think Blake's going to be able to hold him off for more than about 4 more corners. By the time they come out of 6, or maybe even by the time they come out of 2, with the way that car is braking. And that also makes me think that something in the rear of that car is not quite squared. You got a rear end of the car that's kind of going off kilter. Under braking, it just gets all kinds of squirrely with that weight transfers.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it sure looks like some of that smoke's emanating from inside the wheel, but we don't know. But, you know, it could be something where there's a stabilizing link that's broken back there.
Yeah.
So the back end shifting a little bit. So it could be moving over into the body each corner.
And since the green flag, we've watched him a couple times on this angle where the back end squirts every time he gets back on the gas, which also says kind of the same thing as maybe one of those links is given up.
He's doing a great job. But Dad says, sorry, son, I love you, but
Yep.
adios.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got a Taz Harvey to go and chase about 15 seconds up the road, so he's going to get on with the program and hopefully still see Blake in the tech shed here later on.
Absolutely. So that puts now Stacy up into 4th, but as you said, fair gap up to Harvey. And Harvey turned one of his better laps as of late, but still a high 151. But that was almost what Stacy Wilson ran as he was working his way around Blake. So we'll have to see what Stacy can do now with nothing but clean air in front of him. But that's a lot of ground to make up here in 5 laps.
Yeah, and in 5 laps, I'm telling you what, this is, I don't know how to hear to jinx anybody, but we know the history of GT3. These cars, we talked about the GT cars in general are high-strung, full race cars. And the critical piece of these is to finish the race.
Yep.
That might be why Taz's pace has been down. He knows he's got to pace himself to finish this race, but I'm sure his team is talking to him and saying, hey, you've got a very fast Stacy Wilson back there. You may not want to slack up too much, as there's a shot of Taz Harvey there in the traditional Mazda livery. That white with the blue understripes. Beautiful striped car.
Yeah, a lot of history in that graphic scheme, isn't it, over the years?
Yeah, it looks really good on that 3rd gen RX-7 body.
It certainly does. Coming up here, that's Joe Carr in the number 77. Carr running currently in the 10th spot. And Taz going to come up and slide down underneath.
Gets the quick point by Joe.
I wonder if that number 77, that sure looks like it was built by a very talented group of people. There
looks
usually
like a Huffaker car.
I was going to
Yes,
say
I think it is.
that black 77.
Yeah.
That's what they always run. So you know that's a really good car. I bet Joe's having a lot of fun in it.
Yeah.
Speaking of having fun, Troy Ermish.
Yeah, he has not let up one bit. Still running 148s around this place. And considering, you know, his lap number 14 lap time was in the 148s. That would have put him probably 4th on the grid.
Right.
As if it were a qualifying time. And that's how you get. You don't want to let up. You just keep hitting marks, and whatever the race car says, you listen and you do. And considering where that car was just about 5 days ago, he's got a good shot of Ken Nelson there out of Detroit in his Nissan 200SX bodied car.
That was a pass for 7th.
Yeah.
He got around Paul Young.
A couple Detroit region guys battling it out there.
Yeah, and Paul running suddenly a little bit off pace. And he may have an issue, and that's what we talk about with the stress on these cars here, and Young is just fading big time here. I was going to say with Ermish, there he is. Yeah, Paul's in trouble. Off the pace here. I suspect we might see him come down into the pits.
Yeah, I think so. It's a sad way for the runoffs to go, considering, again, he was up on that podium last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
A really good day, but here, not going per plan.
And here is your leader, Ermish. And I was going to say, you look on the back up above that rear wheel, it says Rebello. And the Rebello engines are notorious for being really good.
That's Bill McGavick right there slowing down.
Looks like he maybe overshot that corner. Easy to do. Down into turn 1. Late in the race, brakes starting to fade a little bit. Pedal getting a little long, possibly. Well, it's right back up to speed here.
Yeah, I wonder if he did that and then had trouble finding a gear and just took him an extra second to get going. But good to see him going again. He's been running up in 6th. He slows down too much. He's got Ken Nelson in that 200SX we just saw get around Paul Young. Ken might be hunting for another spot if he can catch up to Bill.
Through turn number 6A. You can see how wide the track is there. Almost reminds you of a Sebring runway.
Yeah, very flat, very much like Sebring through most of this track, except the banking on the oval. You saw Ken Nelson in the back of that shot. He can see McGavick out in front of him, so he's looking for that opportunity to get a top 6 here at the runoffs. This guy has seen his share of top 6s, top 3s, and top steps. Michael Lewis.
Yeah, earlier in the weekend, as you pointed out, he got his 21st medal. That's a top 3 in runoffs competition. Pretty amazing.
There's a lot of people that haven't run 21 runoffs, and he's been up on the podium 21 times in his, now 38th start here. And he's got one more start to go, so we're seeing how he can do in GT1. Still later to go in that famous Jag, but this guy gets a lot of seat time. He's been doing a lot of racing. He's wheeled a lot of machines over the years.
He has indeed. And he's done a bit of pro racing over those years as well. He's raced in Trans Am, obviously, but he also raced prototypes in the American Le Mans Series for a few seasons.
He ran a Busch Series NASCAR race once as well.
Yeah,
that's a very different car than a GT3 RX-7.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great experience, though, and it's fun to be an all-rounder like that. Run lots of different classes. No substitute for seat time, and when you do a lot of variety, that can be a huge amount of fun. Here's the 122 of John Mills. Had that spin early, but has carved his way back up into the 8th spot out of Fostoria, Ohio. Doing a really good job. Got that open cockpit RX-7.
It's Miata.
Oh, that's true. It is. Sorry about that.
Not sure what motor he's got in there, because again, you just have to have a manufacturer livery on top of that. You do see flames coming out, so he may also have a rotary in there.
And he's having fun. You can see him working that wheel, enjoying every minute of it. Here is Stacy now, and Harvey's responded. They're both running virtually similar lap times.
Yeah, Stacy, I think somebody got on the radio to him and said, you can't back off too much. You got to start, or to Taz, and said, Stacy's coming. You better make sure you keep it going. And Stacy has been very consistent in his lap times over the last 5 laps or so. Here with about 3 laps to go now. He's just hoping to keep that pace up and hope for something up in front of him to happen. But for Stacy Wilson, he says that he admits they're a low-budget team. He's not the big budget guy. The fact they got 2 race cars going is a lot for them. Very, very happy the way the car ran all week long, and at this point, just happy to be here. Obviously, shooting for a medal like everybody would be, but putting it back on the trailer the way it showed up and getting up into the top 5. And right now, they've got 2 cars in the top 5, and it's gone pretty well here through 16 laps so far.
You bet it has. Did a really, really good job out there. After whatever that problem was, it solved itself, and he was able to come right back up through the field and crack that top 5. And moved into 4th, sadly at the expense of his son, but hey, that's part of the game.
That's racing.
So Ermish, though, he's finally dropped off just a little bit, and for the first time in the race, we see Michael Lewis dipping into the 149s as Ermish is slowing up a little bit. Now, Ermish certainly is driving the gap. I mean, he's got a 10-second lead.
Yeah, and that may be exactly what it is. He knows with about 3 laps to go, he can back down. Now on the last 2 laps, we got a shot of Taz Harvey there.
Yeah, it was a
Still
significant little bit of lockup there.
Yeah, he's definitely working it. Trying to make sure he stays on that final podium step.
And if he's got something that, for whatever reason, if the car is a little down on power or whatever is keeping him from running those real competitive times, then to stay fast, you have to drive it harder.
Yeah.
And obviously he is doing exactly that, understanding what's coming up here as we've got 2 to go.
And I wonder if that's a little bit of what he's got, just a little bit down on power. You see him kind of cutting distance through some of the corners. The tire's also getting a pretty good workout this morning. As you can see him kind of the car a little bit squirrely coming into turn 1.
When he was running in Firehawk competition back in the day, when I was doing pit work for Speed Vision and then Speed, I love doing interviews with Taz during the race in those endurance races because he's so funny. Wow,
we've got a battle now
yeah,
for
we
6th between McGavick and Nelson.
And Nelson clearly understands what this is all about because he just did a big tank slapper. He is pushing that for everything it's worth in that Nissan 200 SX. White flag, 1 to go for Troy Ermish. Big margin at this stage.
Yeah, Troy, once he got past Michael Lewis there on about lap 2, has just sort of turned his mirrors down and just taken off. But now he can just about taste it. But up in front of them, these guys are still battling. Ken Nelson backed off just a little bit, but I don't think he's going to go very far. Any little bit of a wiggle out of McGavick, and Nelson's going to pounce and get right on by him.
Absolutely. And these 2 are coming up on traffic, and behind them, Ermish is coming up on everybody here. Nice job there by Joe Carr. Seeing the blue flags for the corner workers, recognizing there's a battle coming up behind him.
Nelson looks really quick in the twisty bits.
Yes, he does.
He might be looking at trying to make a move here going into 7. He's going to push. Yeah, he's going to push McGavick off to the side and try and take the better line going through 7. You might see a side-by-side to the S's for the first time.
Watch it here. He's a little too far back, I think.
And
but
there's that rotary power.
Yeah, exactly. Now he turns in. Gets into his part of the playground.
Yeah, he's right back up on him. It is definitely a handling versus power matchup right now. And unfortunately for Ken Nelson, they just hit a nice little straightaway for that rotary to stretch his legs. Oh yeah, look at him pull.
Yeah. But right now, Nelson, though, on a lap is definitely the quicker of the 2 cars. Problem is,
running out of laps.
Running out of laps and trying to get by unless you get by into 1 and build a big gap, it's going to be tough. Well,
they're going to get one more lap.
It's going to be hard for him to get by in 1.
They're ahead of our leader, who's about to see Checkered. They're only getting white, so they got another 2 miles to go, while our leader only has to make it to that starter stand and see the glorious checker flag.
All right, here we go. From pole to gold, virtually flag to flag for Troy Ermish, winning the gold in GT3. What an absolutely superb event for him as a whole. Just wonderful. Puts that one in the books, and with a dominating margin over one of the most rewarded drivers in SCCA competition in Michael Lewis. Lewis comes through, and Troy really relaxed on that last lap, and I think it was nice because he probably could have caught those 2 guys battling. McGavick and Nelson, but I think he was looking at it going, well, they're having a good scrap. I'll give them another lap.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And here for Taz Harvey, able to bring this car 1 more corner and 1 more straight to go.
Yeah, he responded when he needed to. Once Stacy got through, he just stabilized that margin. And Taz Harvey, as I said, he's leading the Mazda GT3 Challenge. Had he won, he'd be super sweep. Didn't get that done, but still an amazing season in GT3 for Taz Harvey. And looking forward to hearing from him on the podium. Didn't get a chance to visit with him today, so let's get back to this little scrap. It's still on.
Ken Nelson now just trying to pedal a little bit harder.
That's turn 10.
There's that power, though. That rotary, once he points straight, Bill McGavick just lays into it. though, coming down off the banking, we said it's always a treacherous braking zone. Does he leave any door open?
Watch for it here. Going to pop into view. He did a really nice job, did McGavick, just keeping that car where he needs to be. And as long as he gets through this corner, and you can see, once again, Nelson giving it everything he could, but now the power of that Mazda comes into play, and he's going to be able to just accelerate up and out, and he will bring it home in 6th spot. And you know, great news here that both of the Wilsons are in the top 5, and Blake held on with a car that certainly wasn't healthy. I mean, he was near the end here, his laps were in the upper 150s, and his last lap, what, a 157.
Yeah.
So the car was wounded, but he did a beautiful job of bringing it home.
Great performance in his first runoff appearance.
No question. But here comes Troy Ermish. Boy, did he have fun out there in this one. Dominated the race.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, early on, a great savvy move for our number 32 there. Mr. Lewis getting a jump at the start to get in front of Troy. Troy just needed a couple extra corners to get past, and once he did, he just kept taking off bit by bit. But a pretty good battle between these two. They ran pretty hard pace for this entire race to be really, because Taz Harvey, a distant 50 seconds behind them, shows you the pace that Ermish and Lewis really put in.
Yeah, that was dominating drive by both of them, and Ermish just controlled it beautifully right from the off, and making his way down. There is Hayward playing traffic cop as well. He's a multitasker, our Haywood. And we'll be hearing from this second-time gold medalist now in just a couple of minutes. As you take a look at the pit lane, you see the cars off to the left. They're doing what they call hardship laps. Drivers that have had some sort of an issue and have a race coming up, you just want to make sure that everything's working. So there's no morning warm-ups here. And Stacy putting the gold around Troy Ermish's neck, and that means it's time to check in with Hayward.
Guys, it is not a hot day down here in pit lane. Troy, water on the head, trying to cool down a little bit. Is this a vindication for a rough week, or is this a vindication for a rough 365 days after last year?
I'm telling you, perseverance, perseverance. My crew never gave up, even though I was a little upset when it rolled. I thought we were done. They just never gave up. And the guys from Goodyear got every contact they could think of to help me fix this roll bar that was bent. And I really don't know what to say. I just got to thank Goodyear. I got to thank Rebello Racing, my wife, my kid, especially my crew. We would not be here. And somehow, some way, luck was on my side when we rolled. I can't believe that we didn't damage anything. So can't wait till next year.
How does it feel? What does it mean to go across the yard of bricks to claim a national championship? What does that mean to you?
I was just focusing on lap after lap after lap. It's not going to set in until I do my victory lap, probably.
Well, let's get started on that. Enjoy the victory lap. Congratulations on a championship.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You can see there the emotion when he was talking about his crew. And that goes back to what we talked about at the top of the show.
How many of them do you think he can fit in that car for this victory lap?
Every one of them deserves it, that's for sure. And there was, you can see the handle of the checkered flag that says Runoffs Champion on it. When you get to drive around the lap, here's a look at turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that really technical section there of this iconic speedway. And they've been putting on some wonderful races here. Let's get down and now hear from Michael Lewis, his 22nd medal.
Mike Lewis just points to the back of Troy's car and says, oh, now it won't start. Looks like you might have needed a little bit of luck to be able to run with Troy for the full race. Are you happy with the second?
Yeah. Well, you know, the way we are, we're not happy with the second, but we respect and admire the effort it takes to put a piece that good out there. He was just faster every lap. Even the laps I was leading, he was right there. So not much we could do. At about halfway point, we had to start hoping for a problem, and obviously never materialized. But the car ran well. It just wasn't good enough today.
Before the race, we talked about the number of times motors in and out of this car. How many guys do you have helping you do that?
Well, we since Mike Henderson dropped out, who had 2 entries, I brought his guys with because they deserve to be here. So we had adequate people, but only so many people can gather around. So it's 2 or 3 people, and it takes about 2.5 hours, and they changed it, I think, 6 to 7 times this week. And they got 2 podiums out of it, so I think they're okay, but they're always looking for that win.
Well, congratulations on the second. We're going to get Taz. Hey, Taz, we got some stuff to do first. Taz, a third place. By the way you're running around and orchestrating pictures, it looks like you're pretty excited about this.
Oh, how can you not be excited about it? We're at Indy. I got on the podium. I got to race with my friends for about 15 seconds, and then I just they went off into the sunset. But it's all good. It's fun. All California podium.
All California podium. How many runoffs is this for you?
Gosh, I don't know, man. I need to do some Sudoku or something, get my memory working better. Probably 5 or 6. I don't know.
Well, it was a blast to watch you race. Greg Creamer's on here saying, say hi to Taz for me. So congratulations on the 3rd from Greg.
Oh, right on, Greg. Hey, and by the way, I raced my old Civic, Greg, from World Challenge. The red car from Puerto Rico was my old car yesterday, and I loved following the kid. He had a tough race, but anyway, it was fun.
Well, congratulations to you. And Greg, we'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that car, and I told you he's a fun character.
Yes, he is.
And he can wheel it, so great to see him up on the podium. Absolutely, but this guy, this is what it's all about, that gold medal. And you heard him thank Rebello, too, and I was talking about that. And at the top of the show, Larry, we talked about reliability. And Rebello not only is known, their motors are stout, but they just don't have problems very often. They're really renowned in this paddock.
Yeah, and that's able to power him right up into the podium, and that's just an awesome finish for everybody all the way on down who put an effort into that car.
Yeah, and 2 Wilsons there in the top 5. That's really going to be special for them. And McGavick and Nelson, that battle at the end, boy, that was such close stuff, and Nelson gave it everything he could. I mean, look at the margin of victory there, 4/10, or for 6th. Then Mills in 8th after that spin, coming back with a good finish. Joe Carr, Dave Dobry, everybody just giving it everything they possibly could. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. And at the start, you see Ermish was on pole, but Lewis and Stacy Wilson, they just took off, and even Harvey was looking at it. But then after a lap, you could see a couple of laps, Ermish down underneath in turn 1, even with that little wiggle, Larry, he was able to take that lead.
Yeah, he had a better handling car in this infield section. He used it to his advantage, but this guy's car handled pretty well. And that's Stacy Wilson to be able to get that car up into 4th here, passing Bill McGavick.
Yeah, after he had that moment and it dropped back, and then here was the pass where he went by his son, who Blake in the 33 did a brilliant job of nursing that clearly wounded car home. But on this day, it was all Troy Ermish, big margin of victory, controlled it all the way, and crosses that yard of bricks. There's Lewis coming through for 2nd place, and here was Taz Harvey completing the podium, and Ermish making his way down with a gold medal waiting to be draped around his neck for a 2nd time in runoffs competition. So that's going to wrap up our coverage here of GT3 and the run for the gold. Again, big thanks to Mazda, the broadcast presented by that fabulous company. It's been an absolute treat to have you here with us. On behalf of Larry McLeod and certainly Hayward Wagner down in the pit lane, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much, everybody, and take care.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land. Where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.